Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hangin' With Web Show. I'm GW Pomature. Thanks for logging on and tuning in. If you haven't already, please go on down and hit subscribe for us. Right now, in upstate New York, Ellie Ingraham is attending her very first pop culture convention. It's We Need a Hero Con at the Utica Children's Museum, way upstate New York, and it's her very first time. So she's being introduced right now to comic book creators, cosplayers, sci-fi fantasy authors, horror icons, you name it, it's on the menu for Ellie up there. So let's go to Ellie Ingraham and see who she's hanging with now.
Hey guys, we're here at the Utica Children's Museum for the last day of We Need a Hero Con event fundraiser. All proceeds from yesterday and today's event go to support the Utica Children's Museum. We have creators of all industries here today. We have artists, actors, directors, authors, performers, you name it, they are here supporting this great cause. Right now we are hanging with model and actress Genoveva Rossi. Thank you so much for hanging with us.
Thank you so much for having me, and I liked your pronunciation of my name. It was very good. Thank you.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was about right. That was good. Thanks.
Oh,
good. Better than most.
I practiced.
There you go. Good. Yeah, having a lot of fun here at the Utica Museum. I really enjoyed the first floor. You get to pretend you're going to the dentist and grocery shopping, so that was interesting. I was doing that earlier.
They do have a lot of fun stuff for the kids to do here.
Yeah, the beautiful dinosaur exhibit I was checking out, and the puppet theater.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes. So you're best known for the Scream Queen. How do you get that way?
Well, Scream Queen pretty much I would say translates to that you're an actress known for acting in the horror genre. And a lot of people attach a lot of different kinds of meanings to it, but I would say it pretty much boils down to that.
You just had a good scream, right?
Well, I scream, but I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily somebody that runs, screams, and falls in most movies. There's a lot of films that I'm in I don't scream at all, or I kill other people, or it's a more dramatic role. That's just like, because there is typically so much screaming going on in horror movies that we just give it that term Scream Queen or Horror Queen or something like that. We even have the term, we even call the men Scream Kings now because of gender equality. We can't leave them out.
So you've always played kind of dark roles. Is there anything that you like to do other than horror film roles?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I do horror film roles, but sometimes they're pretty dramatic. Sometimes I play like a mother, like I was in A Dark Place Inside, and something called Mr. Bones I did recently. I also play a pregnant woman in Apocalypse Kiss, which is a sci-fi thriller. I did a theater production last year at the Nyack Theater, where I played Delilah of Samson and Delilah, a biblical story. I did an Edgar Allan Poe reading there as well. So I do a variety of stuff. I do some comedy, I do some drama, but horror is just one of those fields or genres where it has a very strong following and you end up being well known for it. Things that I'm looking forward to coming out with this year, just so you know, is Herschell Gordon Lewis's Bloodmania, which is a horror film.
Yay!
Yeah, a lot of people are really excited about that.
So you are gifted with the ability for psychic reading. You do tarot, palms, crystals. Are you a psychic as well?
Yeah, I would say, in my opinion, all of these things, palm reading, crystal ball gazing, tarot card reading, are all kind of tools that we use to harness our own psychic ability. Yeah, and some people don't need any tools. Some people can just harness it themselves. They are the tool. And in fact, the last time I was in Utica, I was actually reading tarot at a Halloween party at a college in the area. And I've been doing that for a few years, and I just did Vermont a couple weeks ago as a private party for them. I travel all around the country as both a horror queen and also as a professional tarot card and palm reader. So I do both of those things, so it kind of fills up my schedule. Yeah, and I do feel like anyone, in my opinion, that's an accurate tarot card reader or crystal ball gazer does have some innate psychic ability.
Yeah, I agree. Have you ever used your gift when you're like preparing for a role?
I think it helps me in choosing my role sometimes, because if I have a really good feeling about something, then I definitely do it. And a lot of times I don't realize how wise of a decision I'm making until like sometimes months or years later. You know, because you know, you get offered a lot of roles, and some of them you turn down, and some of them you take as an actor. You can't really take everything. You know, there's only one of you until I clone myself. So you just have to kind of pick and choose, and you're just like, wow, and then you have to choose it, you know, with some kind of system of what you feel like it resonates for you, or what you get a good feeling from as a film. Like, for instance, Herschell Gordon Lewis's Bloodmania, they had me come out to Calgary, Canada, and it was a relatively small role, and Herschell was like, you know, I don't know if this is going to be too small of a role for you. I'd like you to star in my next film, but if you don't want to come out for this small role, it's up to you. I don't want to pressure you, but, you know, obviously we're going to pay, you're going to come out. And I was like, you know, I'll do it, and I'll star in the other movie when that comes out. I'm fine with doing a smaller role. So I came out, and good thing I did it, because that ended up being Herschel's last film. He passed away at the age of 86, so I didn't realize it at the time, but that would be my last opportunity to work with Herschell Gordon Lewis. He was remembered actually in memorandum in 2016 through the Turner Classic Network, which plays his films every Halloween. You know, so, but he was 86 years old, so he lived a really full life. He planned on making, I think, 4 more movies, but Herschell Gordon Lewis's Bloodmania ended up being his last. And that'll be out later this year.
So what's the strangest thing that's ever happened to you on a set?
Oh, wow. Well, there was one film that we did called The Sadist that we filmed in Pennsylvania in a real-life murder house. And it was just like, you know, this person in the 70s had, I think, murdered their whole family there, which is pretty creepy. And we got permission to film there, and it was just like you could really feel like this energy in the place. And that was one of the only times I ever shot a horror film where I really felt kind of like messed up about it the next day. Like, just something energetically was going on. I felt it. The director, Adam Albrand, felt it. There was just something in the air. And I remember Adam said to me, he's like, Genoveva, do you want to come downstairs with us, or do you want to stay here and run your lines? And I'm like, Adam, I have been in enough horror films and seen enough horror films to know I don't want to be alone in the haunted house. So I'm going with you. But even Adam was really, really freaked out. There was this one room in the house where the windows were painted black so no one could see in. And don't forget, this was a house where, you know, murders were committed. So you never know if that was maybe the person that did that, and they never fixed it, you know?
Right.
You know, because black windows, no one can see what's going on inside. It really kind of freaked us out a little bit. Crazy.
Do you have a dream role that you haven't done yet that you'd really, really want to do?
I always say my dream roles would be, I would love to remake The Pit and the Pendulum, which originally starred Vincent Price and Barbara Steele, with Bill Oberst Jr., who's an actor I love in the horror genre, and myself in it. I would be Barbara Steele, and he would be Vincent Price. I was even telling him recently that's my ultimate fantasy. And I would also love to remake Black Sunday, which is an old horror film, Mario Bava film, black and white. I think it's maybe from the 50s or something. And it's really beautiful. And Barbara Steele plays dual roles. She plays a witch that was put to death that comes back, and she plays like the descendant of that witch, a young innocent girl. She's 2 roles, and I just feel like that would be so challenging as an actress to play 2 different roles in the same film. So I'd love to do that.
Is there any female actresses that you really want to work with that you haven't worked with yet?
That's a really good question. I would say for me, like my favorite horror queens or scream queens were Ingrid Pitt, who unfortunately passed away a number of years ago, and Barbara Steele is still around and still acting. So I'd love to work with Barbara Steele. She worked with Fellini. She worked in a lot of horror movies with Vincent Price and such. You know, she produced a whole bunch of movies. She's like a really active person, and she's older now, but she's still very active as an actress. So I would welcome the challenge of working with someone of her caliber. I would love that.
Oh, yes.
Very
do you have a male actor?
Well, if Vincent Price was still alive, I would love to work with him. And then one of the actors, I worked with Michael Berryman a couple times, and I look forward to working with Michael Berryman again. So that was kind of a fulfillment of a dream of mine. I'm looking forward to working with Bill Oberst Jr. probably next year on a film. He's a favorite horror actor of mine. Also Brad Pitt. I would love to work with Brad Pitt. He's a cutie. He's a cutie. And I think he's single.
I think so.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for a role?
Oh, well, it's hard to say. Every film is really different and every role is so different, so I wouldn't say there's any really uniform way. You just want to really get inside the character's mind and kind of just like live it, Be it.
One question that I have was doing that. I know that a lot of, not a lot of, but a couple of actors that have done, let's say, The Exorcist, and one of my favorite movies there, The Witches. Anyways, they literally, The Craft.
Oh, The Craft.
So it bothered them after. And the actresses, and
or like the process of working on the film, it kind of creeped them out a little bit, maybe.
And then it stayed with them after.
Oh.
So does that ever happen to you, or do you release it when you're done?
I listen when I'm done, and I guess compared to some people that maybe do horror films that kind of fall into it, I've always been a big horror fan, and I was like a little kid watching all these Vincent Price movies, and like the Pendulum, and watching him like cut people up and whatever, and watching these kind of really disturbing movies. Even as a child, I used to watch Bud Abbott, Lou Costello movies, Universal Studio Monsters, Hammer movies, all when I was a small child. So I feel like I'm kind of born and bred for this. So I'm not really too upset usually when I do them. I wouldn't think that like I'm scared, upset, or having nightmares after I film a movie. I have nightmares about real life. I don't have nightmares about horror movies.
That's awesome. Guys, I've had so much fun hanging with Genoveva Rossi today. Don't forget to hit that like button. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think of today's show and our guest. You can also check the guest link below. Remember to subscribe, log in, and stay tuned to see who we're hanging with next. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much, Ellie. That was amazing. As we wrap it up here, we want to say thanks to our friends at Something Unique Magazine, the Florida Book News, Wordfire Press, Space Coast Comics, Famous Faces and Funnies, all the folks who share these videos on the World Wide Web. We've been hanging with Ellie Ingraham from the floor of We Need a Hero Con in upstate New York. I'm GW Pomacher. Remember, subscribe, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next. Okay.